there, welcome to the first podcast episode for the Berlin Life. My name is Cheryl Howard. I'm a Canadian living in Berlin, and I have been here since 2011. By day, I work for a tech company, and by night, I am the founder of the Berlin Life. It's a community platform to help people move to Germany and find work. In today's podcast, I'm going to do a short introduction of myself, as well as tell you more about the Berlin Life and what I hope to accomplish with this podcast. I'll finish with some bonus advice from a career coach content to give you a preview of what future episodes could look like. As mentioned, I moved to Germany in 2011, and I have worked for various German companies over the years, mostly startups and scale-ups. And really, it's been a crazy ride. Some of my early highlights, I worked for a company that ran out of money and just stopped paying us. Shortly after that, I found a new job, and I was laid off 3 months in. Like, my whole team was just made redundant. Shortly thereafter, I started at another company, but then I only lasted for 18 months before I was laid off yet again. So my first few years in Germany were really bumpy. And my friends once said to me, "Cheryl, it seems you're always looking for a new job." And it was true. And it was so stressful. I lost a lot of money along the way as I had to scrap to get by between jobs. I hadn't been in Germany long enough yet to be eligible for any unemployment benefits. I filled out more visa applications than you can imagine and had to keep getting permission from the government to start my next job. I even borrowed money from friends and hustled super hard to earn cash, under the table. Also, it really took a toll on my mental health. I developed pretty severe anxiety and panic attacks. And honestly, to this day, I still have PTSD from those times. Because it's one thing to lose a job in a place you call home, but it's next level when you're in a different country. You don't know the language well enough yet. You don't know how things work. You also don't know what your rights are as an employee, because of course, everything in Germany is bureaucratic and complicated. But on the bright side, during this time, I gained a lot of experience as a job seeker. So I went on countless interviews. I completed long case studies. I went for full day, unpaid trial days. I took tests, even answering super weird questions like, how many Smarties can you fit in a smart car? Which I can tell you had nothing to do with my job or what I do for a living. But thankfully, life in Germany progressed, and at some point, I found stable employment and I got my permanent residency, which made it much easier to change jobs because now I don't have to do visa applications all the time. And as part of my role working in my day job is I also got to wear a hiring manager hat for a while. So I spent a lot of time building up tech teams and interviewing people. And I saw the mistakes that people were making in their job applications. I saw the mistakes that they were making during interviews. And I also saw the other side of it, like how not every person in the world is very good at interviewing candidates. I saw lots of unfair coding challenges thrown at engineers, making it almost impossible for them to succeed. So I've been on both sides of it, and it gave me a lot of understanding, a lot of perspective, and especially about the pain points of searching for jobs in Germany, especially as a foreigner. So I started to think, hey, actually, I really want to help others who went through what I did. So also, aside from working for a tech company back in the day, I also managed a popular travel and expat living blog. So I talked about the different places in Europe I was traveling and also what it was like as a Canadian in Germany and all the different things that I went through. And actually, one of my top articles that I wrote was about how to find a job in Berlin. And at that point in time when I wrote it, it was actually 2014. So 10 years ago now. It's unbelievable. I I just shared my experience, like, hey, this is what worked for me. And it seemed to really resonate with others. And so years later, after gaining experience also as a hiring manager, I began to write even more articles. And so they were actually hosted on my travel and expat living blog. But in 2021, it was during the pandemic and time to get creative. I actually created the Berlin Life. So when I created the Berlin Life, I started a weekly newsletter. I organized casual meetups for a community. I moved all my job-related content from my old blog over to the Berlin Life. And I launched career coaching services to help people create job applications, both CVs and cover letters, as well as coaching people to help them prepare for job interviews in Germany. So now it's 2025. And yeah, there's been some really nice accomplishments along the way. But honestly, the best parts have just been meeting and connecting with people from their community and just hearing about the things that they've been going through, what their experiences have been like. And also, always the best mails that come to my mailbox is when I hear about people that I've coached that they found work. So it just feels really good to be part of something bigger. So as this is like the intro podcast episode, I would normally never talk about myself this much, but I think it would be good for you to understand a little bit more about me, hear a little bit about my journey and how the Berlin Life came to be. So that will bring us to what this podcast will actually be about. So I realized that not everyone likes reading, which is the format for most of the content that's coming from the Berlin Life. Like we have our weekly newsletter, I have my life in Germany guides. But what I was thinking is that putting out small, rather bite-sized pieces of content could be an interesting experiment. So I really want to have like short podcast episodes that could be 5 minutes to a maximum of 15 minutes. And it's just something easy for you to listen to when you're on your way to work or you're making a coffee or your breakfast in the morning. And it's kind of a win-win situation because it's a low-level commitment for me and it's a low-level commitment for you as a listener. So some of the things that I would talk about would just be mostly focusing on living and working in Germany, sharing my personal stories and experiences, giving career advice, and whatever other ideas come up along the way. And perhaps at some point, I might interview community members to have them share their experiences of moving to Germany, searching for work in Germany. We could also think about pulling in some experts to share their advice as well. So yeah, that's kind of what's in store for this podcast. And as promised, I'll conclude the episode with some practical job application advice. So one common mistake that I see people make on their CVs is they list way too many skills, be it their core competencies, technical skills, other soft skills, etc. I've also seen CVs where people list out 30 or 40 different skills. It's crazy. So, oh my gosh. First of all, no hiring manager or recruiter wants to see a list that is really that long. The information actually just tends to lose meaning because it just becomes way too overwhelming. One of the other unfortunate effects of this is it also takes up valuable real estate on your CV. And any CV in Germany should not be more than 1 to 2 pages. So being concise is really key. And this valuable real estate could be better allocated to other important information that would actually convince an employer to want to interview you, or hopefully the bigger goal, to hire you. So my advice is to list out maybe a maximum of 10 skills. I would say to even go for less because it's more about quality than quantity here. Focus on the areas where you excel and the things that you're most passionate about. And most importantly, is look at the job descriptions and see which skills they're looking for the most, like what's most important to them. So what this means is you can't keep sending out the same CV. You're going to need to customize your CV for every job application that you make. And honestly, following this strategy alone is just one of the keys to creating a successful CV that will actually see you getting results, because just in today's job market, generic CVs won't do. I know it's a lot of work and it really sucks, but that's the reality that we're in. So just some other tips before we finish off is there's also other ways that you can showcase your skills on your CV. It doesn't just have to be a 1 or 2 word thing under your skills section. You could also bring your skills to light in other parts of CV, like in your professional summary section, or also as a bullet listed under one of your job experiences. And if you manage to do this and connect everything together, this actually helps you tell a cohesive story on your CV, which again should help you better gain the attention of a potential employer. And you can also extend your skills into your cover letter and later to the narrative that you tell in a job interview. Another way to help kind of like shorten your list of skills is to just don't add those skills which are really, really super common. So say, for example, you're an office employee. Most employers are going to expect that you know how to use various enterprise tools like Microsoft Office or the Google Suite. So like you don't need to list them because that's just something that's going to be expected for anyone to work who is working in an office. So I hope this episode has been entertaining, informative, and best of all, helpful. I really, really thank you for listening, and I hope you'll tune in for the next one. And if you have any feedback, definitely send me a private message. That's the way that I prefer to receive feedback. And if you have any special requests or questions that you want answered, definitely leave a comment and I'll try to add it to my episode backlog. And I'll also drop a link to my free German CV guide in the description. So again, thank you for listening and hope to talk to you soon.